And our friend Rogan O'Hanley, D.C. Drano, he's now taking his fight to the Supreme Court. Take a listen.
We are ready to file with the United States Supreme Court.
That was Rogan there posting that to Twitter recently, or to, I think, Instagram. I don't know if he's still banned or not, but he was suspended from Twitter back in 2021, accused of spreading election misinformation. And emails uncovered by Judicial Watch show that the state of California actually worked with Twitter to silence D.C. Drano. The latest chapter in this fight comes after the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals threw out his case. And now let's see where it goes. And welcome in D.C. Drano's lawyer, since Rogan's traveling today. Ron Coleman joins us now. He's a partner with the Dillon Law Group. Ron, great to have you with us.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me on.
A pleasure. And also just not related to this, I enjoy following you on social media. You're hilarious.
Wow.
In a number of ways. I laugh at your tweets all the time. But tell us about this new filing and what you think the Supreme Court is going to do, given that you guys had some setbacks in the lower courts.
Well, setbacks in the lower courts are one thing. Setbacks in the Ninth Circuit are not necessarily the same thing when it comes to the Supreme Court. As you know, the Ninth Circuit is the most frequently overturned circuit at the Supreme Court. That's not said with any lack of respect for the judges in the Ninth Circuit, but we do think that they overlook some very serious legal issues here.
Yes,
there has been no new filing yet.
So tell us what the plans are specifically, and why you think this actually might make it before the ears and the eyes of the Supreme Court justices.
Well, we have actually a very long time to file, several months, to file a petition for certiorari with the Supreme Court. So the plan for us is, of course, to spend that time preparing that petition. The Twitter files have really vindicated the claims in this lawsuit, which was dismissed on the very unusual ground, considering the level of detail here, on the ground that it was not a plausible allegation that when Twitter was requested, like as in nice social media network you've got here, be a shame if anything were to happen to it, by the California Secretary of State to censor content or to ban users, which is exactly what you showed on your screen, that they actually did so. In fact, they did so over 98% of the time.
Right.
That is a prima facie plausible claim, and that should have been allowed to proceed.
And like you, Mr. Coleman, I mean no disrespect to the judges in the Ninth Circuit, but as someone who kind of dabbles in common sense, Amber, it's hard for me to understand when you have a 98% approval rate. Basically, Twitter was a rubber stamp for the state of California. And in many cases, when you look at the Twitter files, the same thing for the federal government as well. The collusion with the FBI and Twitter and the like. You see the collusion between government officials and social media. It's the same thing that's happening to us. Members of the House of Representatives in California wrote a letter to AT&T saying, maybe you guys don't want to put these platforms on your distribution network anymore, and then suddenly it happens, they're off. It's just like Ron said, that's a lovely television network or a social media platform. It'd be a shame if anything happened to it.
Exactly. This is basically blackmail on behalf of the government, and that's why this becomes a First Amendment issue, because these are no longer private companies operating based on whatever they claim their terms of service to be, which we already know are applied unequally against liberals and conservatives. They're more often used to punish conservatives, and liberals are allowed to say whatever they want.
Right.
But in addition, these private companies, so-called private companies, are obviously working in concert with government officials. And the government cannot censor speech. That is very basic First Amendment issue. And so I'm excited to see where this case goes.
There is a reason they put it as the First Amendment. But go ahead, Ron. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No, I once tried that line in the federal circuit, and it wasn't appreciated.
Why?
They called the First Amendment. I think actually it's historically sound. And as Amber's pointing out, you can't. Not only can the government not censor citizens, it can't outsource the censorship of citizens, and that's what they did.
Yeah. And what they're doing, we have evidence now of the State Department and federal taxpayer dollars being used to handcuff conservative voices on social media platforms. Speaking of Rogan, we mentioned he is traveling right now, so he could not be with us. He was on with Jen Pellegrino on Prime News last night, and here's what he had to say.
This is, in our opinion, our first real chance at a fair shake, because leftist big tech companies, they own the courts out in California. But now we're going to go to the court that overturned Roe v. Wade, and I am confident that they're going to intervene.
And confidence says a lot. Ron, your confidence level on a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you?
I'm confident that we've got as good a chance of getting the Supreme Court to take up this petition as anybody. It's a great case. We know how to do this. We've done it successfully in the past. Rogan is a lawyer. He's not an active practice. He's a very, very intelligent and successful guy. And in this case, I just actually told him yesterday, after we had a very long call talking about our strategic options, Rogan, you do seem to know what you're doing. You do seem to have led something of a charmed life, notwithstanding having been banned, and he is back from Twitter for a period of time, which might actually be a blessing in many respects also. So, we think we've got a real shot here, but everyone knows that getting the Supreme Court to pay attention to just about anything is a tough road to hoe.
Yeah, but it just seems so obvious here. You have the emails, the direct coordination between, and given what's come up in the Twitter files, you would hope that the justices who are concerned about fairness and the free flow of information and the public square and the First Amendment and all that stuff, Democrat, Republican, whatever, however they lean, they would be interested in this case. And it would also say, not to throw too much praise on Rogan, this was the case when he explained it to me, Ron, that really changed my mind, because initially, I'm averse to this idea that, the government should be involved in censoring free speech, but that's what's happening here. You think about these as private companies, but when they're working so closely with the government, it's hard to call them that. We appreciate you being here with us. Ron, we'll have to have you back again. Plenty more to talk about other issues as well. And Amber, great to see you as well. We'll talk to you again coming up in the next hour. Take care.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, still ahead this hour on John Bachman Now.